I'm very grateful to have visited Jersey on my 30th birthday. It is indeed an amazing experience, especially in a world where our economic issues are definitely uncertain. But moments like these affirms me that even the most impossible of situations can turn into a very possible and very memorable type of experience. And let's not forget the vibes. We can't forget the vibes. And so with that being said, it is now time for the final part of a Wolferz at the Big Apple. So chat, on Deco Pound's channel, you'll probably see, like, say, the farewell. My phone was acting up thanks to that really awful update. That is like the first time I've ever hated an Apple update. So you will see the finale there, but we did quite a lot of progress here. So we're gonna go back to Joyzy. Seats are like really tough. Alright, finally we're getting off the 34th Street station. And I think we'll just get off of the tree graders. These things are so heavy. Oh, and look at that. There's like path, so I'll make the easy switch to path. Alright, I got off the path after like a very long time. That is insanely long, but finally I'm here at the Newark Light Rail Station. Finally, we're going downstairs to the Broad Street line. That's going to be the first one I'm going to try. It's like very similar to the HPLR. Very similar. So to give a brief rundown, the Newark Light Rail started off in the 1930s as the Newark City Subway. A majority of the line has remained intact for over 90 years, with very few extensions. Of the few extensions, there's the Silver Lake and Grove Street extension in 2002, thus completing the current line of the Newark City Subway, and then the Broad Street extension in 2006, which created a brand new street level line from Broad Street to the Newark Penn Station. And that is the brief rundown of the Newark Light Rail. So I was supposed to take the Broad Street, then take this station. I forgot what it's called. I'll put in the comment below. But no, that is not the case. So I'm just gonna have to reverse it. Annoyingly, but it's fine. I'll go to Broad Street. Not gonna lie. Since this is like a college corridor and everybody's gone, feels like a zombie town, just like Indianapolis at 5 a.m. Or funny enough, for Richmond, Broad Street around 11, 12 in the evening. But from what I gathered, Newark Light Rail definitely does pack a punch quite a lot. Now obviously that's because they were running in a subway style segment, so you do have to give it that. HPLR does have some segments that go quick, but obviously we didn't went to those segments. Maybe next time when we do like say a full Jersey like trip, but at this point we'll wait next time, like maybe in 2 years or something like that. All right, so I'm gonna make the turn from here all the way down here. That's where the main Broad Street station is, because I want to take the full line. You know, I had an idea of like planning like a bit of a speed run, but that would also include the river line, because now that's owned by NJT, so that's like a very intense trick to pull, because we're dealing with 3 lines. They're kind of close to each other, and then the worst part is, as the snow is starting to like fall down on me, the worst part is like the segment between the Newark light rail and the river line. They're like way too far from each other. Anyways, these are the vibes right here. I imagine it's a lot more popular like around this time once school comes back, but obviously since it is winter break, everybody's kind of gone. Just a little bit of snow coming in close to the station, I think. I think on a side note, I haven't yet to see this area being gentrified, even though it would be weird to do that because it is a college corridor. But it's good that they kept a lot of the old stuff intact. Minus this section, I think you're just gonna add new building, housing or something. So I heard train noises, and ooh, I see something that looks like a station, so that should be where the other part of the NLR goes back to Newark Station. The Penn version, not the Broad Street version. Not too shabby. Wish I could see them broad daylight, but no. Alright, then come to the NLR. I'm going to go ahead and make my tap and then just do a bit of a quick review. There we go, select the mode. Cool art designs. Not a bad platform. No benches, just like landing places, and that's it. Yeah, there it is. Another brew with a Newark light rail. Getting in. Simply saw the TSP moment, so that's good. We literally just stopped for 3 minutes. Second time, we literally just stopped for 3 seconds. Then we just went down. ad-lib this bit, but to paraphrase, I really hope that with the upcoming Purple Line, and hopefully with the future of the Baltimore Light Rail Link and Red Line, that we can meet up to this kind of standard. NJ Transit, for how confusing your fares are, you run good rail. Thumbs up. Alrighty, we're finally back home here because I had the idea of wanting to go to New Jersey Avenue here in DC, or New York Avenue in DC, but certain events happened that I prefer not to deal with. Now, I did not record anything after my NLR ride because unfortunately, and I really cannot beat around the bush on this, Newark is indeed a pretty sketchy city, minus the college complex, which thankfully was safe. However, certain parts of Newark where it's not the college campus, it is indeed a pretty sketchy type of situation. And like even like when I visited the actual like main like hall at the station, just seeing like people like under the influence of very hard substances, which is like the most that I've ever seen, it was quite an interesting awakening seeing that large concentration of people that were underneath the influence of whatever substance that they were on. But going back to the earlier part of the video where I mentioned like say how grateful it is of an experience that I was in, truly for me, I'm definitely grateful to be in a situation that even though I am somewhat struggling with trying to be economically secured, this is still like say a pretty solid scenario to be in. And it's genuinely unfortunate to see other people like starting to struggle a lot more than usual. And certainly I do hope that maybe like a better time will come. But in this just current like say climate that we're in, I really don't know. I really don't know where we're gonna end up being. But with all the tiny moments that we have and we can try to collect internally, or even like say take pictures of, every little happy moment in life is something that we can gather to make it into one large positive energy so we can balance out all like the hardships that we have in our lives. And trust me, for 30 years it's been such a very difficult life for me, internally, externally, but eventually it gets easier and easier, especially once you get yourself in a rhythm and you keep fighting for what's best for you and for everybody, in a positive way, obviously. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank everybody, every single one of you, for making this experience definitely an awesome one. And hopefully to anybody who's struggling, I hope that you can get some really good experiences, really positive experiences in the near future, if not now. So until we meet again, thank y'all for watching.